Thank you. We're in the presence of greatness. Me, these amazing 7 magazines, Rivercraft, Essay, you gotta cheer after each one. Rivercraft, Essay, Apprentice Writer, Sanctuary, Flagship, The Ginkgo, and The Squirrel. Thank you all for coming to Making Public. Thank you to the CV Reading Series and Fuse for organizing this amazing event. It's a pleasure to be your MC for another year in a row. Some people say that Making Public is the most boring hour and a half in the English department, but that's not true because we all have to take aesthetics and interpretation. I have the pleasure of introducing the awesome Dr. Catherine Zobel-Dent, Director of the Writers Institute. I got it right this year. Come on, guys. So let's take the time to, enjoy the night. I'm gonna take this.
Okay, well, I am like the Lorax. I speak for the faculty. It's really nice to be here tonight. I'm going to be quick. It is not at all an evening that it's an evening that will pale in comparison to many others that you've experienced. Brett, you didn't do it justice here. It's going to be so much better than aesthetics and interpretation. We have a couple of people to thank, and I just want to start by acknowledging all of the faculty who are in the room, all of the administrators and the staff who have helped make everything happen, from Tony Zitta sitting in the back corner who makes so many things happen. Thank you so much, Tony. To the faculty advisors who are part of all of these magazines behind the scenes, could I ask you all to stand up and be acknowledged, please? Those Essay, Rivercraft, Sanctuary, Flagship, Squirrel, thank you so much. And then I want to also acknowledge our co-chairs, Silas Zobel and Betsy Verhoeven, who are here supporting us. Thank you so much to both of you for doing this. All right, students, you're going to be great. My real role is to introduce the amazing Sarah Leday. And Sarah is a student who has worked so hard. Even before she got here, she was in the Summer Writers Workshop. She arrived, she was ready to go. When she got involved with Fuse, I knew that there was a future leader, but she's done so many things on campus. She's already been introduced by me for the CV Reading Series, so I'm not going to do justice to everything Sarah's done. But Sarah, before you come up on stage, can I have everybody in Fuse who took a role tonight, please just raise your hand. This is amazing. And from Katie Murray, who did all of the PR, to all of the leaders who put on a conference and who have organized so well, and to their advisor, Jess Masterton. Thank you. Okay, and now the president of Fuse, Sarah Leday.
Hello, so I am Sarah, and I'm here to introduce Jason, who is speaking for us tonight. So Jason Ferris, as known to the professional world, is a fiction writer and essayist from Maryland. He holds an MFA in fiction from the Iowa Writers Workshop, where he was awarded the Truman Capote Fellowship, the James Patterson Writer Education Scholarship, and the Jeffrey and Kimberly Chapman Writing Fellowship. His work has been nominated for the Penn Robert J. Dow Short Story Prize and was chosen as a finalist in the 2021 Carve Magazine Prose and Poetry Contest. Currently completing a fellowship at the Provincetown Fine Arts Work Center, he is at work on his first novel. Before all of that, Jason Ferris, as known to the Writers Institute community, was an active member of our literary ecosystem. He has short stories published in Rivercraft, where he was the head fiction editor in 2021. His essays are published in Essay, where he won the Eric Kirkland Memorial Prize for his piece, Skin. He was the reviews editor for Fuse and the head editor and designer for Apprentice Writer. Our campus magazines hold our history. As students, our ability to step into roles, to reinvent magazines and positions to meet our current needs is based on every staff and edition that has come before us. We build on their progress, emulate their successes, work to create a cleaner edition every year, hope the people after us do even better than we managed to. This groundwork was laid by Jason, by all the editors that have come before and after him, by you and me, by our advisors and reading board members, our PR assistants and treasurers. Jason, 5 years ago, stood where Grace, head fiction editor of Rivercraft, stands now. Brooke and Gray, you now share the role of head editor for Apprentice Writer. Olive, last year you joined the long line of recipients of the Eric Kirkland Memorial Prize, sitting next to Jason Ferris and Nala Washington and Gray Weatherford Brown. In 5 years, all of our names will be listed in mastheads, no longer active members of our community, but instead bits of our magazine's history, just like Jason is in the stories of Rivercraft, Essay, and Apprentice Writer. Jason's lecture tonight shows us that every action here on campus leads to our future. Reminds us we will always have space in Susquehanna's literary legacy. Thank you, Jason, for helping build the community we have here. And thank you, everyone in attendance tonight, for sustaining this ecosystem with me. Making Public is here because of you. Please welcome to the stage Jason Ferris.
That was really beautiful, Sarah. You really encapsulated the spirit of the night, so you should be proud of that. That was really nice. So I'll just jump right into this. You should take my money, he told me, all of it. I'm a silly faggot. He said this as if his queerness disqualified him from enjoying money. I answered that we were all faggots. It was what had brought us online. No, he wanted to be dominated, he said, and a faggot could not dominate a faggot. He used this word with no regard for its cruel history, with no shame, this man with a joke for a username, love, pay, and hotties, as if he'd found his way beyond whatever lashing it might give him. I wanted to find such a place too, at least one beyond a recent breakup, which was maybe why I continued talking to him, even though he admitted he was a chubby man old enough to be my father, that he'd understand if I wanted nothing to do with him. It was this fear that he might not be worthy that in fact drew me to him. I could tell he was here for transformation. It's the superhero story, the queer story, the belief that something powerful lies dormant inside. It's what I was here for too. The prospect of change swelled off my phone and spilled into an apartment overgrown with half-sipped mugs of tea and coffee I hadn't cleaned up because there was no need, no one was visiting. How many comic books might the man's money buy? $100 just for FaceTiming him? Although it would be dishonest to say the money was the reason I answered. It was what he said next. You're gorgeous. You look like you know how to hurt someone. This is the opening of My Silly Little Faggot, one of the short story episodes in the book I've been writing for the past 4 years. Likely, you were shocked by the frequency and ease with which I use a pejorative like faggot, by the casual yet earnest cruelty, by the comparison of a potential romantic partner to someone's father, by the consideration of the body's shape, especially an unpleasant one. You are not alone in your objections, I assure you, because the body and its sexuality, even in the era of OnlyFans and Game of Thrones, remain prickly subject matter. The lessons that led me to write this story began in my time as a student at Susquehanna, and so before continuing, I'd like to thank Catherine Dent for inviting me to speak at this year's Making Public celebration, Silas Sobel and the Rivercraft team for asking me to judge this year's Juliet Gibson Memorial Award, and the Writers Institute and the Department of English and Creative Writing. I have received support from literary institutions like the Iowa Writers Workshop and the Fine Arts Work Center, but none have been as impactful as the stellar literary education I received here at Susquehanna. In one of my last months of undergrad, I met Professor Hasanthika Sirasena outside Blue Weiss Library. We arranged ourselves on orange Adirondack chairs in the lean of the tall sun. Graduation was near, and my future, although pointed toward an MFA program, felt so loose and pliable as to risk coming apart. Hasanthika and I chatted about the usual things, and then, without turning to me, she said, "Do you consider yourself a queer writer?" Without much thought, I answered yes. I am a gay man who often writes about gay characters engaging with gay life. There seemed no other answer to the question until, some strange weather passing across her face, she said, You shouldn't feel the need to write about sex if you don't want to. Sex had become something of a destination for me. When I came to Susquehanna, it sat at a distance in the way of a misty mountain. If I squinted my eyes and pinched my fingers, I could grasp its ghost. My writing professors could tell. There's something you're holding back, they said, something you're missing. I had an intellectual objection. Does writing about gay life require radical honesty around sex? I would have told you no at the time, and for the wrong reasons. I might have claimed writing about sex would demean my writing, relegating it to cheap pornography. I might have said I value my privacy, committing a misapprehension of the erotic, which is that it is always autofiction. Sex scenes, especially gay sex scenes, are commonly treated as confession instead of invention. The irony is that fiction's first obligation is, in fact, to undress its characters, laying bare their fears and passions. Sex is particularly qualified at doing so because it tears away class, race, religion, creed, nationality, the many lines of division that confine us to our social circles, and leaves behind only the naked truth, two people, perhaps more, in a room without anything but the premise of their meeting, an interest in each other's bodies. I did not know this in my first stories because I was still in the thrall of something like shame, the subtle shame many of us experience when we know our queerness can be tolerated, but that tolerance is an awful gift. And so I only flirted with risk in my stories. I wrote up to the line of sex without touching it, the halting strokes of which walled off my characters, which walled off tension, which walled off discovery. Or maybe walled off is too strict a metaphor. They put up a kind of scrim, a distortion, something like trying to see through cellophane. I flayed open my feelings on the subject for a piece published in Essay magazine. I shared the essay with my mother. I'd like to say this was an act of bravery, but it was more like thirst, the quenching of a desperate ache. I sought freedom from secrets more than any closeness. My writing thereafter drew closer to truth, which brought me closer to myself, which brought me closer to my characters, which brought me even closer to myself and to art, until I had arrived at the writer and person I thought I wanted to be, someone unchained, set loose, unstoppable. Publications and awards followed, all vindicating my choice to embrace graphic sex and habituating me to doing so. Why then was Hasanthika cautioning me? Maybe she worried I could not see a boundary between gay life and gay sex. In fact, they are both inseparable and important to distinguish between. Writing about gay life, whether or not it directly engages sex, will, if it is honest and informed, always feel its presence. It will feel the aftershocks of Grindr, the AIDS crisis, the purity campaigns that tabooed gayness into silence, and the rebellions against these campaigns. It will feel gay bars, pride parades, and Stonewall. It will feel Oscar Wilde, James Baldwin, Virginia Woolf, and the lesser-known players who have brought our culture to its current time and place. Perhaps Hasanthika was inviting me to overturn the stereotype of oversexed gay men, always on Grindr, always cruising, always hunting animals. The alternative, I feared, was feeding into the even more dangerous stereotype of gay men as cute little dolls who dress up cute little women in designer makeup and girlish apparel. Their pastimes are crafting with their mothers, sewing by moonlight, and, if they can be granted a life even approaching the sexual, a husband with whom they raise daughters, never sons, lest they stir fears of handsy priests and pervert dads. This sterilization campaign, it should be noted, in part won the right to gay marriage. Maybe Hasanthika shared my worry that my stories would be treated as diary entries, notches on a headboard, horny confessions, as other than literary fiction, as less deserving and capable of intellectual labor. Still embroiled in her warning, I started my MFA. The Iowa Writers' Workshop is a difficult place for uncertainty. Everyone there is a creature of rare talent and fearlessness, polishing works of writing years in the making and for years having amassed careers, marriages, children, all the makings of great writing, all of which I had yet to experience. I had only ever done school. I faltered for a few months. Then a story sprang out of me in a way few stories do, with no resistance, no fight at all. It was called My Silly Little Faggot, and it follows a man who enters into a sugar daddy relationship with someone who wants neither sex nor power. In fact, he wants the abdication of these things. Converging in the story are questions about the power dynamics between men, the power dynamics instituted by sexual desire, and the power of storytelling. It's a piece in which I felt entirely myself. In its drafting, every part of my brain had been strained, itched, and worked. My workshop group responded positively. I began sending the story off to literary magazines. It received one rejection after another, the majority of which, curiously, were personalized. We found much to love, but decided this piece wasn't right for our journal. I received almost exactly this message from so many magazines that I began to wonder, what is right? What is rightness? Although deterred, I included the story in a collection that won me a postgraduate fellowship from Iowa. The judge had this to say: "There was one absolutely brutal and memorable story in the center of this collection, My Silly Little Faggot, that nails what a story can and should do. It's searching, uncomfortable, raw, honest, believable, contemporary, and a whole string of other adjectives. This is the only other story in all 6 of the collections I read that will stay with me." I included the story in applications to PhD creative writing programs that responded with acceptance letters and funding. I submitted the story to the Fine Arts Work Center in Provincetown, where I won a fellowship. What I have been asking myself for the past 7 months in P-Town, while living on a stretch of sand that swings into the ocean like the tail of a fish, while writing stories that make sexual dynamics their primary engine, is the same question I had at Iowa. What is rightness? Why was My Silly Little Faggot right for institutions that did not have to attach their name to its brutality, but not right for magazines that would have to display it in their journals, their websites, and their social media pages? Rightness, I began to understand, had nothing to do with the essence of being good, but the appearance of it. Sexual purity undeniably is at play. The US has been, from its birth, puritanical, rife with worries about the body and its dirty animal functions. Far more interesting than this well-tread subject is the almost equally well-tread polarization of our politics. The result is caution. Publishers are afraid of being so controversial as to stir the right and to offend the left. What I'm talking about, I observed just before starting my fellowship, when I was an adjunct professor at a small college fastened to a river, not unlike this one. I was teaching the college's first ever queer literature course, an environment where I expected community, compassion, and understanding, partly because I knew the class would be populated overwhelmingly by queer students, and partly because I knew that even the straight ones would have a similar ideological slant to their peers. What startled me was that fires broke out during discussion. In one-on-one conferences, some of my students shared that they were afraid to have the wrong opinion in front of their peers. I assured them there was no wrong opinion, but I knew what they meant because I felt it too. To whom were we answering? Who were we trying to please? The best answer I've come to is this: we are living in a time of powerlessness, perceived powerlessness anyway. Social media bombards us with unsolved problems, climate change, unchecked AI, wars abroad and within, misinformation, and these are just the headliners, every day lighting up our phones, every day unresolved or worsened, every day presented to us with the mandate: stand up, do something, don't sit passively. In our frenzy, we look for an answer. The easy one has become, in many cases, policing each other. I call it punching within. We are often told not to punch down, but up. In other words, to challenge not someone of a lower social station, but instead those with more privilege. We should, to invoke a phrase so overused it has lost its teeth, speak truth to power. In the absence of access to those we want to change, politicians, wealthy influencers, those outside our political bubbles, we punch those we can reach, those sitting beside us in a classroom, trying to understand a piece of literature with sensibilities from a long ago era. We do this because we can get an immediate reaction out of someone who is failing to do their part. We can immediately feel that we have done something. My students, I noticed, often policed each other and me on the basis of content warnings, sometimes called trigger warnings. Trigger, although bastardized into common slang, "don't get triggered, I'm so triggered," has been lifted from the study of post-traumatic stress disorder. A particular stimulus triggers within someone with PTSD the reliving of a traumatic memory. To be triggered is far different than being bothered. I'll work then within the bounds of the term content warning, which have become so common as to headline Netflix programs and have also, in some ways, always been common. Parental guideline ratings have been around since the late 90s. It's useful for a parent to know a movie is rated R before putting it on for their child. It's useful to know, broadly speaking, which age range a piece of art targets. Warnings are particularly vital in visual media, where the viewer's eye is at the mercy of the pictures laid out before them. The reader of a story has much more agency. They can reread a sentence, skip 2 paragraphs down, halt in the middle of a word. And what they receive from these words is powered by the imagination, which isn't to say words don't have power, it's to say that reading is an active practice. The reader is in charge. What gives me pause is not that content warnings exist, but that there is arising in the classroom and the marketplace an unspoken mandate to provide them. And not just for gore or violence, very specific strains of suffering, eating disorders, racism, murder, classism, blood, self-harm. I'm not saying readers shouldn't be armed with the information they need to make healthy reading choices. I'm saying hyper-specific labels run the risk of flattening a piece of art into only its most salacious moment. A story with a single page of self-harm, if preloaded with the term, becomes for the reader primarily about self-harm. They spend the reading experience looking for the deep, dark moment instead of giving in to the vivid and continuous dream, instead of letting the story move them in ways they can't predict, because it is in these surprises that one is delighted, horrified, hurt, taught, and healed. I started this speech with a pejorative. I did this not to shock you, but because the speaker of the story is just as surprised by its presence as you probably were. He has to try just as hard as you to negotiate how it is being used, whether it should ever be said, and whether it can be reclaimed. You, the reader, are working through his questions alongside him. Warning you of the word would rob you of the opportunity to submerge in his experience. It would arm you with all your preconceptions when you might have instead come to the story ready to inhabit another person's consciousness, which is what literature does better than any other form of art. In practice, my idealism was not entirely effective. Where no forewarning had been an effective tool for some students, for others it led to distress. The conclusion I came to is that, as an instructor, I need to give students the tools they need to make their reading decisions. My syllabi now caution students that some of the assigned content may upset them because literature is often upsetting. And it should upset us. If we are not upset, the writer has perhaps failed at their job, which is to make us feel, to care about someone we will never meet. There, of course, comes a point when anguish is unproductive. I invite students to pre-screen our readings, most of which have readily accessible synopses and plot summaries. I announce to my students if a text contains severe content, keeping in mind that we all have different boundaries and different interpretations of severity. In other words, I don't believe it is the artist's, teacher's, or publisher's job to anticipate the audience's feelings, because this task is in fact nearly impossible without mind reading, troubled assumptions, or overwhelming invasions of privacy. The only thing to do is educate readers on how to educate themselves. Content warnings, at least the way I've seen them increasingly demanded, trend toward a kind of censorship, a subtle strain that shelters us into ignorance, that keeps graphic content, that which is not right, off bookshelves. Sometimes the censorship isn't even subtle. In Hungary, there is a publishing house mandating disclaimers for any text depicting behavior inconsistent with traditional gender roles. This is the most severe and direct attack on queer content I have seen, where graphic, a common disclaimer, could refer to overly vivid depictions of gore or bodily fluids or sexual intercourse. So loosely defined as to be both insidious and toothless, this publisher has unambiguously marginalized queer stories and stripped them of all meaning except the pronouns of their characters. Where a reader unfamiliar with or uncomfortable with trans people might have had an opportunity to encounter a book that could invite reconsideration, they can now dismiss the text at first glance. The mandate began in 2021. Now, in 2025, at a time in which trans rights are under direct attack here in the States from executive orders and right-wing hysterics, I worry about the ways in which warnings designed to protect readers, when overemphasized, can become tools of silence, especially when so many laws and rules of politeness have historically stomped queer rights. Especially when books are being banned in schools at record rates, especially when the publishing industry already has in place mechanisms to cordon off content which is unsavory, untraditional, unserious. What I'm talking about is genre fiction, those subjects that, curiously, have been deemed unfit for literary fiction, by which I think we mean stories that engage the human animal with tact, surprise, attention to literature's history, invention, and beauty. For my purposes, I'm talking about romance and erotica, stories that place at their center the pursuit of love and the pursuit of sex, respectively. Much of my work could be described as romance and erotica, which I admit squeezes my face into a grimace. Or it used to until Hasanthika, and I'm sorry I keep bringing you up. In my first semester, lent me Garth Greenwell's What Belongs to You. The novel brought the mountain to me. It placed me at its peak so I could look out and see that sex, like any subject, can be written poorly or beautifully, and that, like any subject, it can be a vehicle for change or a gratuitous distraction to be booed off the stage by a workshop group. In a very moving interview, Greenwell once said he aimed to create a story that was both 100% literary and 100% pornographic, invading the treacherous space between genres that makes readers sweat and advertisers queasy. Better yet, he's dispensed with labels that, in many cases, guide readers in locating their desired content, but also run the risk of marginalizing experiences that might only be able to exist in the realm of romance or erotica. What Belongs to You, if you haven't read it, and I highly suggest you do, is a crushingly heavy book, if not for the sex scenes, the moments of tender connection in which the narrator finds joy in his queerness. I do not know why Hasanthika warned me about writing sexually explicit content. I can speculate. I could even ask her after this speech. But what I'd like to think she meant is that there is no one way to be a queer writer. I'd like to think she was telling me to find my own voice, graphic or otherwise, contentious or commercial, which is what I'd like to emphasize to you, the young writers, publishers, and teachers here tonight. You have to find voices of your own, because regardless of how you use the education provided to you here, you entered the world responsible for making, sharing, and guiding culture. We all are, in every piece we publish, every book we share with a friend, every show Netflix clocks us as having watched and thereby supported. At the end of my second year at Susquehanna, I was slated to spend the start of my junior year in Spain. It was a requirement of Spanish, my third major, added alongside creative writing and publishing and editing. It's a wonderful opportunity, everyone told me so. And yet, every time I pulled up the course listings from my surrogate university, every time I looked into housing, all I wanted to do was write. I remember early one morning receiving an email from Glenn who told me the university was hiring Matt Knoll and that the department wanted me to serve as a TA for one of his classes. I had a decision to make, Spain or plunge further into writing and editing. For the first time, I had a reason to ask why I had taken on a third major. I love the mystery of words, but Spanish was not more interesting to me than any other language. I did not want to become a scholar of Spanish literature or a translator or anything of the sort. I had pursued the major, I realized, because I was told I should. I still planned to one day spend time in Spain and make use of my Spanish, but I made the right decision in following writing. I quieted the pressure to do it all and to do it all perfectly, because this is in fact impossible. If I wanted to be a writer, I had to prioritize writing. And if I wanted to make writing that mattered, I could not ask myself what my professors, peers, or publishing contacts wanted. I had to make work that interested me. At the start of this speech, I might have lost your interest or your goodwill when I used a pejorative. Even though I'm a gay man, even though I'm reshaping the word, even though I'm not directing it at a living person who could take real offense, and you might be right. For saying it, I might be in the wrong. You are free to your opinions, and I am free to mine, which is that nothing is beyond the scope of an art form whose primary directive it is to consider all the known world, and once that's done, to reach into the unknown. I believe artists should resist the temptation to sanitize their work, because sanitized art is not art at all, which is why I will not scrub my story clean of the word or change its title. Doing so would perpetuate the subtle lines of division, rightness, politeness, genre, that not only inhibit art, or can inhibit art and queerness, but even worse, censor them, creating a world in which we unquestioningly take dimensions of our varied, beautiful, and brutal human existence as unsavory, immoral, and offensive. These lines are drawn when we're not looking, when we're busy fighting among each other, while those in power, those undistracted, change the world around us without our realizing it. If you take away nothing else from what I've said tonight, I hope it is this: do not get distracted. Do not let yourself look away. Thank you.
Hello again. I tried to ask for a sneak peek about what Jason was going to talk about, and he said no. It should be a surprise. It was a surprise. It was great. Another round of applause for Jason. Now we get to really dig into the meat and potatoes of the event. As I learned during the Fuse conference, shout out Fuse again, we are very lucky to have 7 publications on campus. So first up, I'd like to bring up one of my favorites, Rivercraft Magazine, to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lily Schneider. Oh, gosh. Sorry, I did not mean to do that. My name is Lily Schneider, and I'm the current managing editor of Rivercraft Literary Magazine, Susquehanna's oldest magazine on campus here. And we are so beyond excited to showcase our 2024-2025 edition with you all here tonight. And first, our magazine wants to extend a huge thank you to Fuse for planning and organizing this lovely evening, and also to the Writers Institute and the English department for making this possible, and especially to Jason Ferris for his willingness to judge all of Rivercraft's selected manuscripts, and to all of the other magazines here tonight that we get to celebrate with, and every single person in this room here tonight that is showing us all your support. And so now, without further ado, I have the privilege to highlight Rivercraft's editorial staff who have put so much time, thought, and effort in to make this edition possible, and it's been an absolute privilege to work with you all alongside you. Okay, so now we can go. Perfect. All right. So managing editor, Lily Schneider. And then we have Sydney Howard, our poetry editor. And then Grace Stowe Evans is our fiction editor. And then Kyra Keenan is our head designer. And then Katie Murray is our assistant managing editor. And then Jules Marsluff is our assistant poetry editor. And then Brett Hernandez-Mara is our art and brand director. And then we have Ayla Kerwin as our assistant fiction editor. And T. Skinger is our assistant designer. And then Rivercraft would also like to express our gratitude to our advisor, Dr. Silas Zobel-Dent, not only for offering opportunities, but for always providing support and encouragement as our advisor. So we could not do this without him. And just thank you all for your hard work and dedication. And I will now hand it over to Sydney Howard, our head poetry editor, to go into more specifics of our cycle-themed edition. And thank you all again.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm super excited to talk about what Rivercraft has been doing the past 2 semesters. I went a little crazy with the transitions, sorry. So, the past 2 semesters, we've been pretty busy doing a lot of different things, some of the things that stray a little bit from what we've done normally in the past with Rivercraft, but I will be highlighting some of those today. So first, we have the Susquehanna community voting on this edition's theme of cycles, which inspired all of the poetry, fiction, and art that you see within. I'm going to read a little bit from our letter from the editors so you can get a little bit of a taste of what cycles is and what it means to us. From ebb and flow of memory to the spirals of loss and renewal, the array of works in this issue remind us that to move forward, we must often revisit where we're rooted from. This past year, the Rivercraft editorial team witnessed cycles of its own. As editors come and go, as the campus's creative community evolves, and as the literary landscape shifts, we remain bound by a shared love of storytelling. So along with this, we also partnered with Fuse to host an editing workshop prior to our submission deadline. And thank you to Grace for this lovely idea. It was super fun. I was not here for it, unfortunately, but it sounded like it was awesome. We also started an archival log to allow Rivercraft and its future masthead to document changes, methodology, and guides as Rivercraft continues its cycle in the literary community. And our last kind of big thing that we have going on, our designer, Kyra Keenan, created this year's cover based on decomposition, which is a natural yet complex cycle similar to the pieces that you will find within this year's issue. So without further ado, we're going to unveil our cover for this year. If I could get a little drum roll.
Oh.
Okay, so now we will be unveiling the winners of this year's Juliet Gibson Memorial Prize. We're going to start with the poetry runner-up. We're going to go from there to the prose runner-up, and then we're going to do the winner. So thank you again to Jason Ferris for being our judge this year. We're going to read a little bit of his comment, and then we are going to unveil the winner, so they can come up to the stage when we announce their names. So I'm going to start with the poetry runner-up. In 3 spare stanzas, delivers a poem starred for body, fullness, and meaning that wears its yearning in shape and lyric. Each line is short, each stanza is short, as if the speaker is short of breath. What they can manage is a grab at understanding at the end of each stanza, a kind of volta, a swerve from hunger to vomiting, from breaking to looking for magic, from lies to a future, however lean. I'm very proud to announce this year's poetry runner-up, Maggie Morrow, for Starvation Learned. Okay, next is our prose runner-up. Of all the things to keep alive in the end, this is what we have chosen. Bugs kill us, we kill them. It's lines like these that magnetize me towards the utterly original pages of blank, scraps of wisdom that are striking and wholly of their world. I would like to present the runner-up for prose, Hal Dittenbrenner, for Our Lady of the Ticks.
And now I'm going to announce the winner of this year's 2025 Juliet Gibson Outstanding Student Writer Memorial Prize. So the writer of this story is a storyteller. From the first lines, which establish the time, a place, and people, all unnamed, all playing their parts, I knew I'd entered the logic of a fairy tale, an environment in which characters become caricatures, but not of the cartoonish sort. They're alive with the full rate of their roles, a young woman after love, a dozen escorts after money, a young man after control, and much more. The young woman asks herself hard questions about success, power, and companionship. The dozen escorts wield their sexuality while resisting the usual noises of sex workers who often service their clients but never themselves. I'm proud to announce that this year's winner of the Juliet Gibson Outstanding Student Writer Prize is Lindsay Hirschman.
Thank you, everyone, and enjoy these next few magazines.
Hi, everyone. We are SA, SU's known and loved nonfiction magazine. I'm Megan Emmerich, and I'm the managing editor for SA.
My name is Emmy Harris, and I'm the head design editor.
Before we dive into the exciting things that have happened with our magazine, we'd first like to recognize our wonderful team who was so integral in bringing this edition to life. Without their hard work and dedication, our newest edition wouldn't be possible today. We would like to thank Sydney Greiner, our junior managing editor, Emma Ritter, our junior design editor, Haley Seitz, our website manager, and Logan Camerata, our new junior website manager. From what I know, this is the biggest SA team that there has been in a while, and I might be biased, but these are some of the most talented and creative people I have ever had the privilege of working with. Thank you all so much for your ideas that have shaped our social media, website, and magazine into what they are today. We would also like to extend a thank you to our faculty advisor, Professor Hasanthika Sirasina, as well as Professor Tony Zeta and Dr. Catherine Dent for their assistance throughout this process. We would also like to thank our reading board members, Sarah Leday, Sadie Leary, Caitlin Wagner, Caitlin Wiersbicki, and Elizabeth Bartholomew.
Now we would like to present the cover for this year's edition of SA, photographed by Avery Atkins. So, for the first time since 2021, we are publishing a full print edition of 10 incredible essays written by our talented fellow creative writing majors, along with the Cunningham essay written by our wonderful Eric Kirkland Memorial Prize judge, Patrick Madden. We have also taken the opportunity to redesign essay from the old 8.5 by 11 format to a smaller 5.5 by 8.5 format. And we opened our visual arts submissions to accepting art as well as photography. Furthermore, we were able to add a junior website manager to our staff this year, increasing our staff to 6 whole people, which, like Megan had mentioned, is the biggest that our staff has ever been for as far back as I can see. So I would also like to extend a special shout out to our new junior website manager, Logan Camerata, for running an Instagram campaign ahead of Making Public to commemorate this year being our 25th anniversary. So I've been a part of Essay for the past 3 years, and I have seen this magazine take many different forms within even just this short period of time. The effects of the COVID pandemic hit us pretty hard, but I hope that I have helped guide Essay into a bright, long-lasting future, and I would like to take a moment to thank this magazine for teaching me so much, not only about the world of publishing and editing, but also about myself and my own capabilities. I would not be the person that I am today without my experience working on this magazine, and I'm confident that Megan and I are leaving it in the most capable, brilliant hands. Okay, enough with my sappiness. Onto the prize.
So the Eric Kirkland Memorial Prize originates from tragedy, the death of a promising young man in a military accident. If anything positive can come from such misfortune, this award in some small way accomplishes this. We wish to thank John and Sarah Kirkland for giving their blessing to this endowed prize. Each year, the memory of Eric's contribution to the writing program at Susquehanna University, and in particular his term as editor of the Essay Literary magazine from 1988 to 1989, will be remembered by our current students and faculty through the awarding of this prize to an extraordinary student writer. Every submission we receive for essay that goes into consideration for the Eric Kirkland Memorial Prize reminds us of the power of writing to connect, to reflect, and to endure. The talent and heart evident in these works speak not only to the remarkable abilities of our student writers, but also to the enduring legacy of Eric Kirkland, a writer, editor, and individual whose passion for the written word continues to inspire us. We are grateful for the opportunity to honor his memory through the voices of these gifted students, whose work ensures that his spirit remains a living part of our community.
So, we ask that you please come up to accept the award when your name is called. So, the 2025 winner of the Eric Kirkland Memorial Prize is Sydney Howard with her essay, August is Over. And then the 2 finalists this year are Celia Lansing with You Think, Therefore They Are, and Steph Leonard with Split in Two. Since Steph isn't here, we will be mailing hers, but thank you.
You know, we're not really getting a whole lot of use out of these stairs on the side, or that, cutting to the chase, I like it. Next up, we have Apprentice Writer, which features the writing of high school students. Fun fact about me, I'm currently the outreach intern for the English department, which just means I talk to high schoolers on Saturdays. Shout out Betsy. We're doing the hard work, guys. We're bringing more students here. So without further ado, Apprentice Writer, take the stage.
Don't worry, Brett, we use the stairs. So hey y'all, we are Apprentice Writer. My name is Jen Martin. I'm one of the co-junior editors of Apprentice this year. And I just want to start off by basically paraphrasing what we have on our new About page on our website, because I feel like it really encapsulates what we feel and who we are as a magazine. So to get right into it, since 1984, Apprentice Writer has been a magazine that has platformed the most excellent high school writing and visual arts from around the globe. Our mission is to publish work that showcases young people's vision of the future, alongside their perspectives on our current moment. We award over $1,000 in prizes every year, and we commit ourselves to compensating outstanding young creatives for their hard work and passion. We feel that this edition truly encapsulates our mission, and I'm going to pass off to Arabella to introduce our wonderful team.
Hello, I'm Arabella. I can't wait to tell you about the people I work with because I love them. This is Gray Weatherford Brown, our head poetry editor and prop master. Brooke Mitchell is our head prose editor, publications operator, and website designer. Jen and I are co-junior editors, and we handle marketing material designs, print edition layout, and web publication. I love you, Jen. And we are so excited to welcome our newest, most fabulous ever member, Ayla Kerwin, to our team. We cannot wait to have her talents and beautiful presence with us in the future. Thank you so much.
Apprentice Writer got up to a lot this year. So traditionally, most of you might know, some of you might know, Apprentice is run by like 1 to 2 literary arts interns. And this year, we were very, very fortunate to expand our staff, which accommodated all of these beautiful things that we've gotten to do. So that like 5-person staff page was really exciting to see. We updated our website completely whenever we upload our online issues. We made our new About page. We decided to start doing an editorial craft series. So now our editors are contributing craft blogs so that we can help provide a bit of a literary creative writing education to our contributors or high school writers who are interested in the magazine. Because we have this fabulous design talent, have been able to make a bunch of new merch so that we can expand our reach to high schools that we've worked with in the past and hopefully get you guys more involved with our project too. And we've made a couple of other changes, like we're now open for rolling submissions, so we're going to be receiving submissions all year round, and we're now going to publish in the spring in time for Making Public. So we also have this lovely cover. Our cover winner is one of the new changes we've made too. So historically, Apprentice chooses a visual arts winner and runner-up, and the winner is the cover. But we decided that, you know, sometimes we get pieces like this, Outstanding Visual Arts by Yesaya Nam. This is a piece about the war in Ukraine, and we believe that it was really one of the most powerful visual arts pieces, but it might not have been the best cover. And this collage was also very stunning and would have made a great cover, so we made that change. But yeah, thank you. We appreciate getting to show you guys what we've done this year.
Thank you for that amazing presentation. Now for this next magazine, I was talking to my coworker at Scholarly Grounds. I think if I had an emo phase earlier in life, I could have submitted to this publication. Maybe it'll happen later in life, you know, anything could happen. But next up on our amazing list of magazines, Sanctuary.
Hello, I'm back. My name is Sarah Lede, once again, in case you forgot. I am the managing editor for the Sanctuary magazine.
And and I'm Cheyenne Nicely, the junior managing editor.
We want to thank you all so much for helping us celebrate our silly little magazine and all of our sibling publications all over campus. We're so proud of everyone. We first want to offer a special thank you to our stunning staff. Please blow them all the most kisses. Without them, we would have literally no magazine because they're actually magic and we love them all dearly. So we would like to thank our head poetry editor, Ella Baker, our senior prose editor, Lindsay Hirschman, our junior prose editor, Sadie Leary, our head visual arts editor, Katie Murray, our head website and PR manager, Avery Atkins, our junior PR manager, Sage Dillard, and our absolutely fearless budget manager, Haley Seitz.
We would also like to thank our reading board members, Caitlin, Mars, Leanne, Gracie, Logan, Olive, James, Madison, Kendall, Caroline, Paige, and Bree for their hours of work in helping us make this year's decisions.
And of course, thank you to our faculty advisor, Dr. Roth, for always letting me sit on your couch and ask endless questions. That was crazy. Did you like the color switch up? It matches our nails. Check them out. So, now for the most exciting part of our little speech, our cover reveal. Ta-da! But wait, there might be a bonus surprise. Cheyenne, can you click the button for me?
Of course.
That was weird. Can you click it again?
Yeah.
So, ta-da! Again, we have 2 covers this year. Our issue is fully versable, turn sidewaysable, upside downable. They're always. Have fun checking it out later. So our 18th issue, titled "This Is Not the End, This Is the Beginning," has a special place in our place in society right now, I think, with all of the indecision. So Cheyenne's going to tell a little bit about, from our letter from the editor, about like why we chose to make something that you could make so many decisions with.
So Sanctuary has always stood as a reminder that artistic expectations are meant to change. And in the wake of our current administration, we want to once again serve as proof that the way things are run is never the only answer.
You get to choose where you want to go. And so now we're going to tell you a little bit about what we've been up to. So first, we updated our candle logo, which you will see in a minute, courtesy of Miss Avery Atkins. It looks beautiful. So as we accept submissions from anywhere, not just undergrad, all over, not just from campus, we continue to expand our reach. We now have 11 off-campus submissions, which is 10 more than last year. So that feels like, thank you. We also traveled to the Upside Down. It was nothing like Stranger Things. We're not elaborating. That's all we have for you.
And as you just saw, we also created a reversible issue with poems and stories arranged every which way. And we made merch, stickers and bookmarks, which you can grab at the reception later.
And now for this year's Candlewick Prize winners. So we are awarding this prize to one contributor in each of our genres that we found the most upside down and unput downable. So for our prose winner, Lindsay Hirschman had this to say about the winning piece. This piece cleverly intertwines and, in turn, compares the surreal with the political and the biblical, likening the primalism of misogynists to the invasiveness of aliens. The author's brief yet precise scenes will sew you into their world and keep you there with their seamless transitions. This award goes to Sydney Howard for her prose piece, Born Hungry.
For poetry, Ella Baker had this to say about the winning piece. This author knows how to pull from the invisible corner of the human experience, the corner that only poetry can reflect. They wield their words with dangerous precision. You'll find yourself in this poem, in the deer, the ferryman, the illusion, the red, the bones. This award goes to Emmy Harris for her poem Addition and Subtraction. And lastly, for visual arts, Katie Murray had this to say about the winning piece. This piece's textural landscape of charcoal creates an abstract space of the real and the imagined, bringing us into the environment of the figure. It expertly extracts the concept of the self-portrait and heightens it into a dynamic and visually stimulating work of artistic craft. Congratulations to Avi Conklin for her piece, Self-Portrait.
And that's all we have for you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all later.
Hello, hello, hello. Is this on? Hello? Next up, after graduation, I have plans to travel. I don't know if you've ever heard of this place called The Real World. I hear it's kind of dangerous, and I'm a little scared, but planes crashing these days, but I guess we'll see. Speaking of travel, next up we have Flagship Magazine coming to the stage.
Hello, we are Flagship Magazine. We are SU's travel and place-based literary magazine accepting global submissions. This year, we are incredibly proud to present works from over 15 countries and over 5 different universities. Our magazine is truly overjoyed that we are following in the footsteps of our namesake, a vessel that leads the way for cross-cultural connection and introspection. Now, introducing our masthead, we're led by our wonderful managing editor, Madeline DeMatt. Natalie Chamberlain is our perfect director of communications. Liz Bartholomew is our amazing editor, or treasurer. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Brett Hernandez works as one of our team members. And I'm Caroline, I'm the head managing editor. Or the manager, oh my God, I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Leon, I'm the marketing director for Flagship. And I want to do a big shout out to our advisors, Jess Masterton and Dr. Roth, for leading us into our rebrand, where we redid our website completely, and we've gone into an online model where you can see our photo submissions, poetry submissions, and prose submissions from students from all around the world, including as far as China and as far as Africa, which we're really happy about to be recognizable globally, coming from such a small school just in Little Selinsgrove Grove. So that's really exciting, and we're really excited to also have come out with multiple merch. We have our tote bags, which you can buy at the reception later, and we have now our stickers with their tagline and our logo. And we came out with 4 different postcards, 2 of which were submissions from students at SU, including Avery Atkins and Maria Livinchuk, and 2 students from outside universities, Emily Fuller and Shelby Gosser. Yeah, thank you.
Woo! Ginkgo is all about sustainability. I'd like to shout out myself. I actually picked up litter today, so
Yeah, thanks.
everything counts. Take the stage.
You know it.
Thank you for your service. We appreciate it. Hello and good evening, everyone. We are Ginkgo Magazine. We are the environmental sustainability naturalist publication on campus, whatever you want to call us. My name is Celia Lansing, and I am Ginkgo's managing editor. Oh, thanks.
My name is Lexi Kaufman, and I'm the head creative works editor.
My name is Jen Martin, and I'm the head academics work editor.
All right, so we'd love to begin by thanking our amazing team as well as our advisors and anyone on our reading board. I'd like to invite our team members, there's a lot of you, so I'd like to invite you to stand at this time if you'd like to be recognized.
Yeah, and I will read off the names, and I expect you guys to stand. Come on. So we've got the three of us at the top. We've got Emma Dickinson, our environmental consultant. Hal Dipbrenner, our layout and design editor. Brooke Nelson, our amazing website manager and designer. Leo Klinger, our junior academic works editor. Madeline Davis, our junior creative works editor. Tori Vile, our social media manager who could not be here tonight. Maggie, oh yes, let's clap for her. Tori deserves it. Maggie Morrow, our fearless treasurer. And Olivia Macy-Jewiski, our great secretary.
We're so grateful for all the hard work that every single one of you have put into this. We could not have done this without you. Thank you guys so much for everything.
Okay, so this is our second official year on campus, and we're so excited to bring our new edition to all of you. And you can see the cover to our second edition on this slide, which features a beautiful photo taken of Mount Cook in New Zealand by Emma Dickinson. And also our, oh yes, please clap for Emma. And our online edition is going to be up tonight after this event, so make sure you check that out later.
Yeah, so this year we really settled into our niche and rebranded with a new style guide and logo. And we also added some new positions to our executive team, as you may have noticed during the previous slide. We have junior editors now, which is very exciting and will help us with the longevity of keeping this magazine alive. And we also created an environmental consultant position.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just say a little bit more about that. This position is held by an earth and environmental science major and then works in tandem with our editorial and production staff. They also act as a liaison between us and the earth and environmental science department, fact-checking our submitted pieces and ensuring scientific accuracy in all that we do. This was previously under the jurisdiction of our academic editor, and we found that this would be a more functional and a far better solution for everyone. So thank you so much to Emma again.
And we've been talking a lot about history tonight, so it's very interesting that this year we decided to return to our roots as a blog, and we transitioned our staff-curated informational content from our Instagram onto like an accessible blog that can be found on our website.
And finally, we tabled at many events this year and collaborated with the Sustainability Office and SU Slam to hold an environmentally focused poetry event.
Yeah, so please be sure to visit our table at the reception afterwards to grab a print copy of this year's edition, as well as some free stickers and bookmarks we have. We also, our online edition will be live later tonight after this event, so look out for that. That's all we have for you. Thank you guys so much and have a great one.
I was waiting for this one. We are now at the end of our magazines, unfortunately. There are only 7 of them, unless we start making up new ones. Next up, I have the pleasure of introducing The Squirrel. If you have read, the Brain Rot edition was the most recent one, right? Yeah, someone drop some knowledge on you guys. Shout out to all the Sigmas in the audience. Keep your Riz up, honestly. Clock in, lock in, so you don't crash out. for the end of the semester. I feel like I'm missing something. I'm not as up to date as I'd like to be, honestly. I should ask my little sister for advice. But, keeping the vibes good, keeping it funny. The Squirrel, you're up next.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brooke Nelson, and I'm the editor-in-chief of The Squirrel.
And I'm Haley Seitz, the associate editor-in-chief of The Squirrel. And if you've somehow missed all of the editions that we've placed in your path, The Squirrel is Susquehanna's satire and humor magazine, which publishes student satirical writing around campus throughout the year.
Thank you all for coming to see us close out this year's Making Public on a funny note.
These are all of our hardworking executive squirrels and contributors. If you worked on The Squirrel at any point throughout the year, please stand to be acknowledged. Please hold applause until every squirrel has been named. We will have no squirrel left behind. Editor-in-Chief, Brooke Nelson. Fall Editor-in-Chief, Becky Wood. Associate Editor-in-Chief, me. Secretary, Emily Rose. Fall Secretary, Tanner Olds. Treasurer, Keith Sanders. Copy Editor, Olive Lambert. Head Design Editor, Molly Carome. And contributors, Landon Beers, Hal Dittbrenner, Ashton Hall, Ryan Holiday, Lorelei Jacobson, Rory Kennedy, Abby Lentini, Maddie Lugar, Morgan Murr, Faye Rhodes, Ruby Soleno, and Jackson Sweetwood. We have had many accomplishments this year. Earlier in the semester, we hosted our second annual Family Feud. We had a larger team turnout than last year's and a very enthusiastic crowd. We've also been working on expanding the form of our content. This is done through new designs of editions, like the It's So Over, We're So Back edition, which was essentially 2 editions in one. If you flip the magazine upside down, you'd be able to see the alternate version. We've also been expanding the range of our Squirrel universe, but more on that later. Throughout the year, we've released 3 editions and have an exciting final installment coming up, unlike anything that you've seen from us before. I'd love to tell you more about it, but I swore an oath to keep everything under locks until our distribution on April 24th. But Brooke has made no such promise, so she has a little bit to share with you. We're super proud of how everything has turned out and look forward to ending this year on a high note.
And now, without further ado, I'll be reading an article from our upcoming edition to give you all a sneak peek. This is Vote Vic Sherwood. Good people of Acorn Valley, the engagement you've all had within our community this election season has reminded me of everything that I love about this town. We are a place of peace, of hope, somewhere where everyone is welcome to make a life for themselves. I am forever grateful for my experiences on the campaign trail. It's been an honor to meet and hear from each and every one of you. We may be divided on policies, but we are all connected through our love of Acorn Valley and our desire to make it a better place to live every day. If elected, I promise to reach across party lines and help unite us in a brighter future. It's been a long and arduous process to get to where I am today, and I would not be here without the support of my family, my advisors, and citizens like you. Before you go to the polls tomorrow and cast your vote, no matter who you may support, I'd like to leave you with this, my final statement. My opponent, William L. Bowe, is dangerous. He only skims the newspaper. He takes 6 sugars with his coffee. He doesn't take his shopping cart to the cart return. He doesn't thank the bus driver. He placed 7th in his 2nd grade spelling bee. The word he got wrong, commitment. He's a dirty liar. On June 9th of 2017, Bowe tweeted, "Happy 2 years, Rachel, love you forever, baby." And you know what happened in August? Splitsville. Is that the sort of person you want representing you? Someone without manners? Someone who makes empty promises? I don't think so. Bowe thinks that he should be handed this position without a fair election because of his prior experience, incompetent leadership. But those are just fancy words to try and trick you. And last time I checked, this is still a democracy. The people get to decide who they want to represent them. And you know what Bowe has to say about the good people of this town? He says you suck. He says that Acorn Valley sucks, the Acorn Valley that we all love and live in. He hates working citizens like you. He hates our traditions. He hates our joys, our passions. He hates your small business specifically. He went through and listed all of them, and yours was there. I heard him. He's really loud. Someone that hateful is not fit for office. For Beau, this campaign has been made up of sound bites and photo ops. He's desperate for any relevance in the media so he can spout his rhetoric about increasing quality of life and creating safe, regulated infrastructure. Whatever that means. But you're smart. You know that there's a better candidate out there with your interests in mind. A candidate who loves Acorn Valley and definitely lives there. You can't prove otherwise. I mean, who do you want representing you? Someone with no morals? Someone who doesn't have a bus pass? Someone who's constantly getting promoted and abandoning their position? Or an enthused member of the community who is always doing the right thing, even when it's hard? The answer is simple. The answer is Vic Sherwood. Vote Vic Sherwood for Acorn Valley Bus Inspector.
This message was approved by Vic Sherwood. This message has been cited as evidence of libelous claims made by Vic Sherwood.
Thank you all for appreciating and laughing really loudly at that article. I will now be presenting the Squirrel's Award of the Night, the coveted squirrel. This year's squirrel is the wonderful Sir Francis, who's made of real gold and has been with us for 3 years. This award symbolizes hope for the next generation of squirrels and a plentiful nut harvest for the next brutal Pennsylvania winter. He's awarded to the next elected editor-in-chief for next year, Haley. Thank you all. We hope you have a great night.
Dude, wasn't that so like Skibbity, Ohio? Like, shut up. That was all of our amazing magazines. Can we get a quick round of applause for all 7 of them? Like PBS once said, you can't do this without the editors, writers like you, viewers like you. Night's not over yet. We still have the Janet C. Weiss Memorial Prize, and we will be having Dr. Catherine Zobel Dent back.
All right, I asked Brett to stay up here beside me so he can make sure I'm reading everything correctly. So this award, I really have the privilege of giving on behalf of the creative writing faculty who choose one student every year. I'm going to give you the history. The Janet C. Wise Prize for Literary Excellence was established in her memory by her daughter, Ellen Wise Goldstein, and son-in-law, Joseph I. Goldstein. Mrs. Wise attended Goucher College and Columbia University. She came to Sunbury after her marriage to Siegfried Wise and was his partner in building a philanthropic legacy that encompassed her special love of literature and the arts. She was an accomplished author. In recognition of her passion for letters, the Janet C. Wise Prize for Literary Excellence is awarded annually to a rising Susquehanna junior or senior who, in the opinion of the head of the writing program, acting on the advice of the creative writing faculty, has produced the most promising work in poetry, fiction, or creative nonfiction. A junior recipient who continues to perform at the same level of excellence retains the award for the senior year. So the first announcement that I have to make is that the winner from last year, Grace Evans, is continuing to receive the award this year. So thank you, Grace, and a round of applause. And now I'd like to ask Julianne Marsliff to come up to the stage.
All the words on the paper were said correctly. Now, that is the end of tonight's prizes, or is it? Tonight, I will be presenting the first ever BOAT Award. We all know the GOAT, greatest of all time, LeBron James, obviously. But tonight we have the BOAT Award, the breadest of all time. This will be going to one lucky student tonight. I'm thinking of a number in my head. Okay, I have the number. Start raising those hands. You. No. You're warmer, but you're not there. No, we're going to decide. You're halfway there, but not in the way that you think. No, like, it'll make sense at the end. Lindsay? No. Taylor? You're close. Maddie? No. 14? No. We'll come back to you. Oh, Dr. Jess. How did you know that? Why is it obvious? Yeah, but I thought that was like vague and ambiguous. Either way, we can't have a professor win because like that's lame. So 70. Who had 75? You win. Come up to the stage. No, you gotta take a picture. Oh, you got small for camera. This night's grand prize for the Boat Award was a $10 Starbucks gift card that I won in a raffle. Yeah, so now I'm closing. I have this really great quote from this amazing movie, Rocky Balboa. Rocky said, "I think if you live someplace long enough, you are that place." Can you believe we all actually go to school in Selinsgrove, PA? It's weirdly enough, it's become home, not just Selinsgrove, but the university, this department, the people in the department. As a senior going into, quote unquote, the real world, it's tough, but we've made it. We've made this place our home, left our mark, as was once said, our names on these mastheads in these magazines. So take a look at the person to your left and the person to your right. Statistically, there's an 82% chance that person has published fan fiction.